Rebecca, tell us more.
Yes, so we're finally starting to see these sort of signs of stress creeping into China's 12 trillion domestic bond credit market. And that really is worrying because so far that part of the market has really proved to be much more resilient in the face of all of these kind of worries about Evergrande. And if, the theme last month or the previous month was of this kind of divergence where you could still find opportunities in good credits, that they were holding up better. The theme this month very much is a turn for kind of building stress, both offshore and onshore.
What do you think the markets are telling us now? And Rebecca, we've had this conversation almost every day in the last 5-6 weeks or so, and it's always like, oh, this might be the worst. Oh no, it's worse. And now we're at 17%. What is the market telling us on high yield?
Well, I will say it does really feel like there has been a turning point this week. I mean, the sell-off was savage, really accelerated, of course. Yields at 16.9% is extraordinarily high for this market. And we are reaching this territory where we are seeing a potential danger point that actually, because refinancing costs are now so high, because the implied borrowing costs suggested by those soaring yields are so high, that it becomes almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, where firms struggle to refinance because they are essentially not able to tap the offshore bond market, and they're not able to kind of continue to roll over all of those imminent maturities. So that's something certainly that investors are looking at very, very closely. And of course, we're seeing more questions on just how far yields are going to continue rising during this sell-off.
And the latest when it comes to Evergrande, what are we hearing about asset sales or even just bond payments at this point?
Well, I mean, the biggest development, I think, for Evergrande is this jumbo fortune note that is being very, very closely watched. Creditors on that are yet to receive payment, and the next step for them would be send this sort of notice requesting repayment to Evergrande. Now, the bond is being really is under close scrutiny because of the potential risk for cross default. So analysts saying that a default on this note could allow other dollar bond creditors to trigger cross acceleration and trigger a default on their debt, and that could really speed things up for Evergrande if they are considering a potential restructuring. It would add a lot more urgency to the need to resolve and ultimately respond and tackle these enormous cohorts of bondholders that are exposed to the Evergrande's dollar bonds.